welcome to Flosstube 3. This is the one where I share the last two finishes of 2025 and have a review of the whole year and show you pretty much everything I've completed during the year and how far I've got on the projects that have been carried on to this one. So first of all, if you saw my stitch vlog last week, you'll have seen this and it's finished. Managed to get everything done. I didn't put a lot of the original sparklies on because I felt that it didn't need it. It had so much going for it already, and it was just a pretty piece as is. So this was the Hand and Locks Original Couture Techniques class from late spring, early summer 2022. So that had been on the go for quite a while, so I was very keen to get that one finished this year, and I did. I managed to finish it, let me see, would it be last Thursday or Friday? And then I mounted it. So it's not easy to mount organza, especially as this one, it wasn't very well centralized when they transferred it onto the organza, so it's been rather difficult to stitch it on there. I think just before it is framed, I will lace it because I can see that it could use a little bit of extra tension, although it's not very obvious because it's translucent fabric. I won't be getting it framed immediately because I want this to be part of as many as 4 similar sorts of things with lots of gold and beads and sparklies, etc. on. You'll see more of 2 of those later on in the video. So I'll do them all together. They'll be matching frames, etc. But that's the first one. Moving on to things that were finished earlier on. This one, I think, is definitely my biggest finish. This had been on the go since February 23 when I first started the classes for it. This is the applique module from the Royal School of Needlework's Diploma in Technical Hand Embroidery. It's the first module that you do if you're going to take that particular set of courses. You design it yourself, so I wasn't given the design to do. I did that from a piece of newsprint that I have from, it must be well over 20 years ago when I was working at the University of Leeds, and it was in something like the Times Higher Educational. There was this really cute picture of a tree frog, and I saw it there and I thought, I have to do that in something at some point, and this module provided the opportunities to do that. It was really hard. It was incredibly hard. Every single stage of it, I was learning something new, apart from the mounting, which I'd done before. And this is RSN style mounting, complete with backing. When I get it framed, I'll take the backing off just to reduce the bulk slightly. But given the dimension of this piece, it's going to be quite hard to get it framed. But I do want to adjust the lacing because there's a slight bit of puckering beginning here because this is silk, and silk does tend to relax a little bit. So I do want to have another look at the lacing, and the assessor picked me up on that as well. So I might have not have noticed it otherwise, but it's amazing what people can make you notice. So that's my big finish of the year, because whilst it wasn't on the go for as long as the previous one that I just showed you, the times I looked at this on the frame and thought, I'm never going to get that. How am I ever going to do that? But I managed. It's done, and whilst I never thought I'd see the day, here he is, and hopefully before the end of this year, he'll be on the wall. The first main finish I had in the year was the deep dive into stump work, which is with Sarah Rickards of Well Embroidered. If you want to learn a particular embroidery technique really well, then I cannot recommend these highly enough. They are superb. This one is discontinued, but she is beginning to do her previous courses in a self-paced format. So you don't have to be up to date by the next class, although you don't have to anyway. You can take your time over it. And this one I began late because I finished the previous one late. So this one, I think I began in December 23 when everybody else has started theirs in September. So I had quite a lot of samples to finish. So there's all sorts of different things. This took the most time doing this embroidered self-portrait. And also this was quite time consuming, the flower here. But I made a few changes to the sampler. These were the ones you were supposed to, if you really wanted to. There was an original design to start with, but you were encouraged to be a bit more original there, design something different. And also the petal samples. And the original one was very much in Sarah's favourite colours, which are pink with touches of orange, and of course the green for where's necessary, like leaves, etc. But I thought, well, you know what, I'm going to use my colours. I didn't buy the materials pack for this one because I have so much stuff, and I was able to use a variety of different threads. So these they're all done in different threads, different gauges of thread, different types of thread. And these needle lace samples are also done in different gauges and types of thread. So it gave me some chance to practice with them. Yeah, to just do something a little different there. But yeah, it started late. I've mounted it the same way that I had mounted the frog because whilst I don't normally put this kind of backing on, I wanted, still intact, thankfully, I wanted to keep the back safe because it's not going to be framed. It's going to be just sort of kept in the portfolio. But I started it late because this one wasn't finished. Now, whilst I finished this before 25, I mounted it this year. So this is the one that you're able to do as a self-paced version already. And Sarah's teaching is marvellous. So yeah, I really would can't say I couldn't recommend it high enough. But this just teaches so many different types of goldwork technique. If I do get a chance to continue with the Royal School Needleworks diploma, then I'll be doing advanced goldwork. And some of these things on here are not included in the advanced goldwork program there. So that there's just so much in this. And there's going to be a goldwork 2 soon. So I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, these are great. And I've done that in the same way as the one before. So that was just mounted this year. This too was one from the year before, but I mounted and framed it this year. And this represented a real highlight of my stitching career, if you like, so far, because this was in the Embroidery exhibition at the Bankside Gallery in London in February, March 25. Sadly, it didn't sell, but you can tell by the fact that I've still got it. And my husband said that it was kind of drowned out by the other pieces because a lot of them were bigger, and this has got a lot of intensive close work here. And I was in a grouping of 6, and it was just lost really amongst all the larger pieces. So if I'm going to enter the next one, which I hope I will, that will be in February, March 28, but the submissions will need to be in by the end of August 27. Then I'm going to do something that's bigger but spaced out, so I can charge a price that hopefully a client will be willing to pay. Who knows? But yeah, that was a definite highlight of the year as well, being in my first professional exhibition. Another piece that I began in 24 was this one. I did this as sort of a way to practice for the RSN diploma's blackwork module. But I can safely say it didn't. It really didn't. The way that the two approach blackwork is so completely different. This is probably the only bit, this handkerchief there, which in the original design was not actually filled in at all. It's the only bit that uses the RSN techniques. You can probably see it. It looks shaded. There's a bit of movement in it because of the shading. I used a thicker thread for the darker bit. And in the original kit, the hair was not filled in too. But it was a nice design, so it was interesting to do, but it wasn't the best of kits, I think. I do have another one, and I will work it because I do like the design. But yeah, it was good to get that done and framed. I mentioned earlier that there was a potential grouping of 4 beaded and sparkly pieces that I will have framed together, and this is the other one that's finished already. This is one of the RSN's day classes. It was held in the evening online for 4 consecutive Wednesdays, 2 hours each week, and we learned how to do applique techniques and beading and couching down long threads there. If you don't know what couching is, it's where you have a really thick thread that you couldn't really put through the fabric, and you then take a thinner thread and stitch it down at regular intervals. So that's something that's used a lot in this kind of thing, and also in the gold work. All of these are done by the couching method along here. And these are also couched down at regular intervals. It's a very useful method to know. You can use it for all sorts of things. So whilst that was done a couple of years before, I mounted it this year. Again, it still has to wait for another couple. One that was finished stitching and also mounted this year. This is another hand and lock course. This was the 8 weeks explorations of contemporary goldwork. It's discontinued, like the couture techniques one that I showed you earlier, but they still teach the techniques in various of their other classes, and of course in their diploma. There's also some examples of couching here. This is done couching technique. That one is. Parts of that one, yes, parts of that one are, and so is that one. This one, Louise from our stitching group, shout out to Louise, took one look at and said it looked like a royal slug. That's one thing I love about being in a stitching group. You've got so many people from different backgrounds and different interests as far as stitching goes, and they just look at things so completely differently. I would just see a piece of smooth pearl over padding, or what is it, cut work over padding. I couldn't even remember the name then. But she looked at it and saw a royal slug. Great. Isn't that brilliant? So yeah, I've done that in the same way and finished it off in the same way as the other two samplers because it won't be being framed. But it was an interesting course because although I knew most of the techniques already, I learned some things like with this one. I'd done basket weave in my previous goldwork sampler, but this one used a lot of different threads and wires that I would never have thought of to use. Here's the sample from the other one, much plainer. That's the thing with the contemporary. It does have a bit more jazz, I suppose, to it. So the other pieces that I finished this year, I don't have because 5 of them were cards. So there were 4 anniversary cards and 1 sympathy card. Anniversary cards, of course, have gone to the recipients. One was my husband and one was my brother, and then a couple of other friends that we always exchange cards. So I like to make a little bit of simple stitchery to put in. The couple who received the sympathy card also had their 50th wedding this year. So I did the London Embroidery School goldwork pair kit for them and got that mounted and framed and presented on the day. Nice to have something done on the day, wonderful. So they loved that and they put it straight on the wall, which was very pleasing. So that's it for finishes for the year. Wait just a minute. Doesn't it say 2 last finishes for the year? It does. Why? Because I'm wearing it. I finished this cardigan back in November and I was able to wear it to the event I'd planned to have it for in the middle of December. So yeah, I'm pleased with it. It's nice. It's not very warm because it doesn't have wool in it, but it's worked well. The sleeves are the right length, which is something I've often had problems with. In fact, one of the things I want to do this year is do a sleeve altering project for about 4 or 5 of my previous knits. And there is a technique you can do that. So I'm going to try and learn to do that and lengthen 4 lots of sleeves and shorten 1. So that's something that's definitely very practical. As for what's in progress still, the first one, let's show you the cross stitch. That's how far I've got with it. This is what it is. Anchors, birds and seasons. So it's just this bit here. I'll see a bit more close up now. So I haven't got a great deal done. I'm hoping over the next month or so to move on to the next bit and do the summer background. It's been very unusual working a background first, because normally I'd work the cross stitch first and then expect to do the half stitch background, but this one, because I like to start in the centre, just happened to work a different way. I've been wanting this kit for years, ever since I saw it at a knitting stitching show years ago. But it was 50 quid these days, and £50 is a lot of money for a cross stitch for me. So I bought this one, but from somebody who was selling it on Vinted for £12. These are the colours that they've got there, and they also give you a couple of skeins of green and a white as well as this. But I thought it was a bit too warm coloured for me, and the pinks were more peach than pink. So whilst I think they'll look great on some of the parts, I wanted some more pink and some more variety of greens, so I added in a few extra colours. So that will be Birds and Seasons Plus. The next thing we have on the go, this one. So I'm just getting caught on another needle over there. One of my friends in my stitching group, Terry, this is her favourite, so shout out to Terry. This one is something that I want to get finished this year. Notice I used this little short bead there that I never noticed before. Well, if I never noticed it before, it clearly doesn't matter, does it? There's a lot of interesting contemporary techniques for beading and goldwork in this. And I think that, yeah, I've learned a lot, and I found some more techniques in a goldwork book, contemporary goldwork book, that I want to try on this, which helped me use up some wire that I'm really not very keen on. I think it's a bit poor quality. I'll explain about that in a vlog sometime. There's another one of Louise's Royal Slugs here. And this is what's underneath that. Some string padding, some soft string padding or thick thread. And then you take the wire, which is like a hollow tube that you cut to size, put them to the right size, and then just stitch them over this kind of thing, and turn out with a royal slug. So this is what I will be spending some time on over the next few months. I want to more or less fill the hoop. So there's probably about 40% of it done there. We'll see if we can't get that up to 100% before too much longer. The last one I can't show you because it's on this slate frame, as you can see here, and slate frames are just too heavy to sit there holding up and talking about. So I filmed this earlier. So I've got to the point of the padding being done for these flowers, and I'll have on top of them what you can see in the parts that have already been done. We'll have a little bit of the needle lace like that on top, and then you can see what it will look like when it's finished. And that is actually the project that I want to work on most over the next few weeks. That's the one I want to finish next. The construction, frankly, is going to be scary. I've never made anything like that before, but I'm hoping the instructions in the book will be, well, easy to follow. The diagrams don't look too bad, so hopefully they'll be all right. So that's it for stitching work in progress. I have one more work in progress that I've got to a good point with, so the yarn crafts. I finally managed to finish the back of this jumper or sweater, if you speak North American English, for my husband. I ended up getting to about here and then realizing it was far too narrow and having to pull it all the way back to the rib. I'd not had to do that, then I would have hopefully reached my original goal, which was to have the second sleeve finished by now, but I've just started on the first. So that's where we are with that. Hopefully I can get to the point where the increases finish on the sleeve this month. Do I have a new year, new start? Yes, I do, but not a stitching one. I decided that 3 stitching projects feels comfortable for me. I don't really want any more on the go at any one time, unless there's a piece for a card that comes up or something important. But I'm quite happy to have 2 knitting projects, especially when one's as complicated as that. So I'm making a summer jumper or sweater for me, and I started it last night, but I'm having a bit of a Jonah day yesterday, and I got it all cast on nicely and got to almost the end of the first row, and I thought, looking at the pattern, I thought, 2 stitches too many here. What? Oh, I'd forgotten something at the beginning. I hadn't read the pattern properly. I had a real day of not paying attention to things properly. Thought I was going to have my stitching journal. It's going to be all beautiful, really, really well planned this year. And last year I kept making a mess of it, and the year before, I didn't think about that properly. I didn't plan that well. And the first thing I did was to stick down all the pictures on the wrong page. And then I made a mess of my stitching goals list. So, well, I could possibly get it out of the way all on the first day of the year, then that's great. But so, yeah, I did start this yesterday, but ended up, if you're a knitter, you know that if you make a mess on the first row, you may as well start again, because you can't really pull it back to a cast on row. It just wasn't worth it. So I'm going to begin again. So that's it for projects for this year. Last year's word of the year was finish, because I just wanted to get cleared off all the projects that I did have on the go as far as I could. And I managed most of them. The only one that's actually carried through from last year is this. The knit there didn't count because that was a new start during the year. The cross stitch was a new start during the year. And the bag, yeah, I'd done these in previous year. I did them in December 21 actually. But I hadn't got anything on the go with it. So that kind of a restart rather than a new start, but it felt like a new start. So everything that was in the frame, there's only the green hoop left now. But I didn't want to start anything new, especially not anything large, because my strength and energy are kind of at an all-time low. So it wasn't a good time to be thinking about taking any more classes or anything. And I've got so much stuff, so many kits, so many books and magazines with designs in. I've bought access to so many self-paced courses. I just thought, just stop, Lib. Just stop and use what you've got. So it was a case of finish. The word of the year for 26 is going to be clear. Very similar, yes. So there's still some things to clear and to finish, and it goes on to things that are beyond stitching, like some products to use up, things that I've been hanging around, and I put them in this basket so that I remember to use them. Certain things are here all the time, so I put them in here because there wasn't any of the room, and it's going to sit here and catch dust, to which I'm allergic, until I use them up. So it's a good way of getting that sorted. I also really need to clear the wardrobe. You may have a wardrobe that's worse than this. I don't know. Probably not. But up at the top here, there are a few things that need clearing out. That not just the clothes, which are fairly quick to deal with, but there's also some textiles from my great-grandma. She was my step-great-grandmother, actually, because she was my great-grandfather's third wife, and he had his children with his second. But she was a very keen embroiderer, and she made all these tablecloths and things like that. And I want to get them all cleaned up, stain removed, and sold on a vintage shop through Etsy. So that's something I want to get cleared. And my husband used to collect these bookmarks from stately homes and other places that we used to visit. There used to be a big collection. Now he's into pressed pennies, but he used to collect these, and he's asked me to sell them. Now these are both featured actually in his latest video, which should be out any minute, if not already. So and his videos are really good, actually. He does these brilliantly cinematic videos of places that you might like to visit, mostly in Britain and Germany, his native country. But they don't really get anything like as much attention as they deserve. So please do check him out, because his channel is good and he deserves more views, basically. He works really hard on them. They're way better than my videos. Speaking of videos, this is something I never thought I would do. But 2025 saw me starting a YouTube channel. Me on YouTube. Go figure. It's your fault, Kim Pickup. You made me do it. I'm going to blame you. But no, seriously. But actually quite fun. I was watching a video on how to make videos or how to start a YouTube channel, and it just said, just get going, just do it. Put up 3 videos, no matter how bad they are. And I thought, well, yeah, my first 3 videos were pretty bad. Pretty dire. And then over the next 7 videos, improve. So yeah, over the next 7 videos, I learned, well, actually overall 10 up to now, really, trying something new every time. I'm aware that I need to improve the sound, trying to use a microphone this time. The first time I recorded this, it just rang all the way through, so I'm hoping this will be better. I need to plan better and I need to explain things better. So tried harder today to explain less technical, explain more technical terms to people who may be watching who are not familiar with certain things from specialist embroidery. But speaking of which, I know most Flosstube makers and watchers are passionate cross stitchers, but you don't have to be somebody who aspires to do or even does specialist embroidery in order to to watch somebody who does do it. So please don't think that this channel isn't for you if you're mostly interested in cross stitch and counted thread. This coming year I'm going to be doing a bit more of that kind of thing because I kind of missed it actually. So I've got a few things planned. I'll share those next time because they're not relevant at the moment. So yeah, please do feel free to subscribe and share the channel with anybody who you think might be interested. Drop me a like and a comment. Tell me what your highlight of your stitching year was, whatever it was, even if it was just doing it for 1 or 2 days and you enjoyed it and that was a highlight for you. That's great. That's absolutely great. Just because people are professional embroiderers doesn't mean everybody has to be or they're not good enough. So thank you very much for joining me today. I really have appreciated everybody watching over the last couple of months that I've been doing this, and let's see if we can't do a bit more in the new year. I'm thinking of doing a few tutorials and maybe some stitching chats. I'll talk about that more next time because I'm really losing the light, and look forward to talking to you again soon. Bye.